Our MC Cota is an ordinary guy who lives by one stubborn rule, which is to always do good no matter what. He helps anyone he can without asking for anything in return, yet fate seems personally offended by his kindness. Every good deed somehow flips into disaster, leaving him on the wrong end of the rope. When he gives all his money to a homeless man, he is rewarded with insults and a perfectly timed bird poop dropping from the sky. When he helps an elderly woman, she panics, labels him a thug, and turns an entire crowd against him. Cota barely escapes being lynched, believing the nightmare is finally over. However, it isn't. A pot of flower base sent from heaven directly hit his head, and the same old lady tracks him down and beats him to death with her cane, ending his pitiful life. Cota's entire life is left with regrets as he takes his last breath because all he wanted to do was help. By the time Cota opens his eyes, he sees himself at the afterlife's gate, where he meets Angel Gabriel. Gabriel tells Cota that he is there to tell him where he will be headed next, and to his greatest surprise, Gabriel tells him that his next destination is hell. Cota screams out in pain and frustration as he bangs the floor, asking why he spent his whole life doing good only to be rewarded with hell. It then dawns on Gabriel that Cota is saying the truth, and some things are not adding up. He immediately decides to look into the matter and he whips out a scale. This is when he figured out that there had been a design flaw because Cota's karma was actually inverted. Cota is shocked and confused by this, and Gabriel explains to him that every living thing possesses karma energy. Basically, the more good deeds one performs, the more energy surrounding the person shifts in a positive direction. This then increases the likelihood of good things coming back to the individual. However, this is not the case for Cota because all the good things he has done have generated negative karma. Gabriel then mentions that this is the cause of his misfortune, thanks to the fact that he has done a lot of good things. Gabriel lets him know that his karma is currently in the worst state that it can, and to put it into perspective, it is worse than that of a heinous criminal. Cota is stunned when he hears this, because this means he's going to get the ultimate punishment. Gabriel confirms this, saying he is destined to suffer eternal agony in hell, but then he tells him not to worry because he never abandons those who are under his protection. Being the nice angel that he is, Gabriel assures Cota that he is going to find a solution for him. Gabriel then shows him the worlds of the universe, and one of them is Earth. But he tells him that he can't return him to his original world since magic doesn't exist on Earth. In addition, he can't bring back the dead on Earth, which leaves him with just one option, and that is sending him to a totally different world. To help his case, Gabriel tells him that he is going to help him find a world where someone like him exists. He takes a quick search, and Gabriel picks a world with multidimensional magic. Gabriel spots a mage who just tried a forbidden spell, which killed his soul. However, his body is still alive and empty. Gabriel then tells Cota that he is going to send him into this body. Cota is confused by this, but Gabriel urges him to calm down, assuring him that he will understand everything soon enough. In addition, Gabriel tells him that he is going to give him a small gift as compensation for his inverted karma. This turns out to be ultimate karma, which displays on a status window right in front of Cota. The information on the screen tells Cota that for every good deed, he gains 100 luck points, and these luck points are temporary. Gabriel then instructs Cota to find the white mage, because he is the only one with the magic to return Cota to Earth. Even with this, Cota is confused about what to do, and Gabriel tells him that he also doesn't know. Gabriel mentions that he is not allowed to interfere with the things that are happening in the universe. Nonetheless, Gabriel wishes him good luck, hoping that luck stays on his side this time around. As Gabriel sends him off, he offers his sincerest apology for what he has gone through. Cota's soul passes through the astral portal, and when he opens his eyes, he finds himself in the mage's body. Cota is surprised and impressed that he actually got a second chance at life. Now that he is on his second play, he remembers that his mission is to find the white mage so he can return to Earth and live a normal life. Cota stands up and walks to the mirror, and he is impressed with his new badass look. He is in the middle of this when he hears a loud noise behind him. He walks over to investigate, and what he sees sends a wave of shock through his body. There are thousands of monsters standing in front of him, chanting "Long live the Black Mage," and while he is still trembling from this, a goblin appears behind him, telling him to put on his cloak. The goblin then tells the monsters to cheer for the strongest man in history who has never performed a good deed in his entire life. Basically, the Black Mage is known for committing the worst atrocities in the world, which is why he is known as the incarnation of evil itself. Because Cota cannot process what he is staring at, he runs back inside and shuts the door. His first instinct is to run away because he doesn't know what he is doing among monsters. Suddenly, the goblin from before appears beside him, asking him if he is alright. Cota almost faints from the dude's sudden appearance, and he demands to know what he wants from him. The goblin then introduces himself as Grut, telling Cota that he is his new advisor, whom he appointed just yesterday. Cota immediately asks him to tell him why there are hundreds of monsters in front of his castle. Grut then replies with a smile, telling Cota that they are there because he was the one who ordered them to gather. Apparently, the Black Mage was planning on attacking the surrounding villages, which is why he summoned his army. Cota freaks out when he hears this, and he tells Grut to cancel everything he has said before. Grut is shocked and confused when he hears this. He immediately blames himself, and surprisingly, he flicks his finger to set himself on fire. Cota is shocked to see this, and he instinctively unleashes his magic to stop the fire. The moment he does this, the status window informs him that the ultimate karma has been activated. Grut continues acting weird as he goes down on his knees, asking Cota to forgive him and grant him the mercy of death. Cota is confused by this, and Grut continues by saying everything was his mistake. However, he has no interest in ending up like the previous advisors, whose souls' screams still echo within the castle. Confused, Cota asks Grut what he means by this, and Grut points to the wall. Cota turns around to see hundreds of heads on the wall, leaving him to scream out, demanding to know what exactly it is that he is looking at. He walks up to the wall with so much disgust that he starts wondering what they all did to deserve such gruesome deaths. He looks closely to see that there are name tiles on the wall and the reason for their deaths. There is one who served as the king's advisor for 6 days, and he was executed for being late. There is another who served as the king's advisor for 13 days, and he was gruesomely eliminated for trying to flee the castle. One even served for just 31 minutes, and was killed just for spitting. Cota is stunned to see how evil his former self is, and he immediately tells Grut that he has no intention of harming him. Because of this, Cota tells Grut that he has appointed him as his lifelong advisor. Grut is shocked to hear this, and he thanks Cota for the appointment. Cota then tells him that he has some questions for him, and no matter how strange they seem, he wants Grut to answer everything properly. The first question Cota asks him is who he is, and Grut replies that he is the greatest black mage in the universe. Cota then demands to know his name, and Grut replies that his name is the Black Mage. Cota also asks Grut where they are. When Grut hears this, he believes that Cota is asking him all these questions to test his knowledge as his advisor. Grut then tells Cota that they are currently in his castle, which is an impregnable fortress that rules over the southern lands. Apparently, the castle also serves as the general headquarters for his army. It finally dawns on Cota that he is basically reincarnated into an evil dude, and he is now in command of a whole kingdom of monsters. Cota then demands to know when he has been the ruler of the southern lands. Grut thinks for a minute and frantically answers that it has been 40 minutes, but Cota screams at him, asking him what he means by this. Grut quickly corrects himself, saying he made a mistake. It turns out that he meant to say 40 billion years, but Cota doesn't think this is accurate either. With fear written all over his face, Grut says he has failed his master again. He then pulls out a knife, ready to kill himself with it, but Cota stops him, telling him to stop being hasty. By stopping Grut from killing himself, the ultimate karma activates again. Cota then tells Grut that he is ordering him to continue living no matter what. Cota lets him know that he is going to suffer a death worse than all the other advisors if he ever tries to kill himself again. Deep down, Cota is only bluffing, since he doesn't even have the guts to do evil. After making sure he has laid out his instructions to Grut, Cota remembers what his mission is again, which is to find the White Mage. Cota is determined to return to Earth no matter how bad things get because he wants to see his comforter again, and this is no other person but his mom. Cota then asks Grut if he can see the status window, but Grut replies that he sees nothing. With this, Cota figures out that he is the only one who can see the status window. Cota then asks Grut about the White Mage, demanding to know what kind of person he is. The moment this question drops from his mouth, fear creeps through every living thing in the room, including Grut. Grut then replies, saying the White Mage is the most trashiest garbage in the world. Grut continues by assuring Cota that he is going to bring him the White Mage's head. Cota calmly tells Grut that he appreciates his tenacity, but he is more interested in what kind of magic that the White Mage uses. Grut reveals that the White Mage manipulates multidimensional magic, and he creates massive vortexes that blow away monsters like them into other worlds. When Cota hears this, he figures out that he has found a way back to Earth. He then tries to use the multidimensional magic he is staring at on the status window, but the system informs him that it is not compatible with black magic. Since this is the case, he figures out that asking the White Mage for help is the only way out. Cota then asks Grut if he thinks the White Mage will be willing to lend him his magic, but Grut replies that the White Mage is his arch-enemy. Grut lets Cota know that the White Mage would rather die than help Cota. Cota already has this figured out, but he believes that he should have a bit of an advantage thanks to the skill he got from Gabriel. Cota decides to check out more info on the ultimate karma. The system informs him that by increasing his luck points, the probability of fulfilling his wishes basically increases. With this, Cota figures out that he can continue accumulating good deeds. He remembers that he has saved Grut's life twice, which means he is supposed to have 200 points already. He then checks out his total luck points only to see that it is still stuck in 0. He wonders if it is a system bug, and he then decides to check further, only to see that he has the worst karma state. Basically, he has an eternal curse placed on him, which is why his luck is sealed, and luck points cannot be added. Cota freaks out when he sees this because, without luck, there is no way he can get multidimensional magic. He is still thinking of what to do when a new quest comes in, telling him that he can lift the curse by performing a special good deed. For the next couple of days, Cota continues accumulating good deeds in the castle, since saving Grut twice doesn't seem to be enough to unlock his sealed luck. In one of his quests to carry out a good deed, he stops his followers from executing a dude, ordering them to release him immediately. The monsters were pissed when they heard this because Cota is supposed to be the big bad guy. Grut lets him know that the dude is basically a serial killer, which is why he has to die. Grut explains that releasing him will only get him to commit many more crimes. Before Cota can rescind his order, they have released the criminal, and just as Grut said, the dude wastes no time terminating someone. This causes the system to slap him with the bad action, and because of this, Cota figures out that accumulating a good deed in the castle might be an impossible mission. He decides that he has to find another way to perform the said special good deed, so he can let his mother know that he is still alive. In his quest to do this, Cota leaves the castle, and he heads to the Western Territory. Upon getting to the outskirts of the territory, Grut asks him if he is really sure that he wants to enter the Western Territory because they don't know when the soldiers might attack. Even with how dangerous the whole thing appears to be, Cota doesn't mind, and he tells Grut that they need to continue their journey. Apparently, there is a white mage in the village in front of them, and this person is Cota's target. Basically, those who can handle multidimensional magic are the ones from the cult, called the Immaculate Order, and the individual leading the cult is a white mage. Grut mentions that those in the village are disciples, and there is no guarantee that they are going to help them. In fact, Grut believes that they are just going to turn on them. Grut says the only way through is to bribe a mage who was expelled from the order, and Cota asks Grut if the mage will take the job. Grut replies that he would probably take the job because he is called Tyrion the Greedy. Apparently, Tyrion was earning money with multidimensional magic, which earned her an expulsion from the order. Cota is glad to hear this, since he is a rich black mage who has no problem with money. As they enter the village, they come across a young lad who is sitting by a well, and he looks sad. Being the monster that he is, Grut wastes no time suggesting that they kill the boy. However, Cota stops him, saying he has a better idea. Cota walks up to the boy, asking him why he is alone in such a dangerous place. Cota wants to know if he has no parents, but the boy reveals that he does, but his father took out a huge debt with a mage, which he has to help him pay back. When Cota hears this, he asks the boy if he is talking about Tyrion, and the boy nods to confirm this. Cota then asks him if he knows where Tyrion is, and the boy replies that everyone is currently watching Tyrion's show at the tavern. Cota then tells Grut that it is time they leave, but before then, he has something he has to do. Grut immediately assumes that Cota wants him to chop the boy into tiny pieces, but Cota stops him, saying he is fine. Cota then reaches for his money pouch and brings out a gold coin. He gives the gold coin to the boy, which immediately counts as a good deed. The boy almost passes out from excitement when he sees the gold coin, but Cota doesn't seem satisfied, since the system didn't really take what he did as important. Grut, on the other hand, is also surprised that his master is giving a human a gold coin. Cota immediately misinterprets what Grut said by assuming that the one gold coin is not enough. Cota then decides to hand over the entire money pouch to the boy, leaving the boy the happiest person on the planet. Grut freaks out when he sees this, as he continues to ask himself why Cota would do such a thing. Even with this, the seal on Cota's luck remains intact, which means everything he just did is still not enough. On the other hand, Grut is questioning all his beliefs because Cota is supposed to be the scariest man on the planet, but he is acting really weird. Grut is still thinking about this when he notices that the boy is super grateful for what Cota did for him. He even calls Cota his hero, and this is when Grut's delusion begins. He assumes that Cota is trying to make the boy his successor, and thanks to the money, he has gotten the boy under his thumb so he can continue worshipping him forever as his master. In his delusion, he assumes that the boy would start committing a lot of atrocities in an attempt to get closer to Cota, which will eventually make him an ally in ruling the southern lands. Grut is still imagining how everything will play out when Cota calls on him, saying that it is time they leave. Moments later, they arrive at the tavern, but there is no sign of Tyrion anywhere. Just then, a bright screen emerges in front of the tavern that immediately catches everyone's attention. Grut urges Cota to be careful, because what he is staring at is multidimensional magic. On the other side, two beings, who appear to be in love, are saying farewell to each other. Just as things are about to get to the most interesting part, the screen goes off. The PA system comes on, informing the spectators that they have reached the end of the broadcast. Those who are watching start to freak out because the whole thing cuts off at the best part. The voice from the announcement system tells them to insert a gold coin if they want to restart the multi-dimensional magic and know what is happening in the universe. This immediately starts a riot among the crowd as they start arguing among each other about who is supposed to pay. While they are all bickering among themselves, Cota walks up to the machine and he slides in a gold coin. He turns the knob and a bright light appears on the screen. Cota is then told to place his hand on the screen and think of the place he would like to observe. Cota does as instructed and the magic carries him to Earth. He then thinks deeply of what he actually wants to see, and to his surprise, his mother appears on the screen. Cota immediately grabs the screen, screaming out, hoping that his mother would hear him as he tells her that he is fine. Those in the room assume that Cota is suffering from a sort of mental illness because he is acting really weird. It turns out that Cota's mother is having a really hard time with the passing of her son, and she looks absolutely dejected. The poor woman is finding it difficult to recover, and she visits Cota's grave every day, taking flowers along with her. Cota's mother steps out of the cemetery and bursts into tears, even though she is in a public place. As tears roll out of her eyes, she talks about how much she misses her son. Even those who are watching in the tavern are left bawling out their eyes because the whole thing is too sad. Grut looks up to see that Cota is also crying, and before he knows it, tears drop from his own eyes too. Grut is absolutely devastated to see his master broken, even though he believes that it is one of his grand spells and plans. After crying for some minutes, Cota makes up his mind that he is not going to accept his fate and watch his mother continue crying the way she is. Cota then grabs the screen, screaming at the top of his lungs and asking if his mother can hear him. The light on the screen then starts reacting to Cota touching it, and Grut urges him to stay back, saying the multi-dimensional magic might destroy him. However, Cota refuses to heed Grut's warning as he continues screaming for his mother to hear him. The announcement then comes on that the safety device is being activated. Cota gets caught in it, sending waves of painful magic through his body, but he still refuses to let go of the screen. Cota is determined to endure the pain because he believes that he can get through to his mother. He continues screaming, telling his mother that he is still alive, and suddenly it appears that his mother can hear his voice. His mother turns around to see a white image with Cota's voice echoing from there. Everything eventually becomes clear, and the poor woman can see her son. She is shocked and confused, but Cota assures her that he is the one. Cota tells his mother that even though he doesn't have the time to explain what is going on, he urges his mother to stay alive and wait for him to come back. He assures his mother that he is definitely going to return to her. Just then, Cota runs out of magic power, ultimately disconnecting him from the screen. Just then, the system informs him that he just carried out a special good deed, which is the mother's love. Cota is surprised to see this, and the system informs him that the quest to lift the curse is complete. He was able to do this because he put an end to her mother's grief. The system window displays his karma status, which ultimately changes from the eternal curse to the cursed one. Cota is thankful that the eternal curse has finally been lifted. Cota is pleased that he can finally use the karma he has received from the angel as compensation. He figures out that his luck will continue to multiply as long as he continues to carry out good deeds. Just then, Cota turns around to see that the whole room has erupted in chaos over what they are supposed to watch. Most of those in the room have no money on them again because they have sold everything they have just to access the multidimensional magic. They have gone crazy about the multidimensional magic that they don't mind selling their gold tooth to get access to it. Grut then tells Cota that it is time they leave because the multidimensional magic appears to have made the crowd mad. In the midst of the chaos, one of them spills beer on Grut and this pisses him off. He whips out his sword ready to kill as many humans for disrespecting him. Just then, Cota smells the beer on his head and he notices that something is totally off. He remembers that he has smelled this somewhere before, and suddenly it dawns on him that it is from the Black Mage's memories. Apparently, his former self had made a similar concoction in the past, and it is basically an addictive elixir. Cota then tells Grut to follow him because they need to check the beer barrels. Deep down, Cota knows that something is wrong, and he believes that there must be a hidden device tucked away somewhere. Cota starts looking around, and he soon finds a tube filled with the addictive elixir, which is connected to the drinks. It turns out that Tyrion spiked the beer with the elixir to make sure that everyone is dependent on her multidimensional magic. Cota is not pleased with the fact that people are pouring their wealth into trying to peek at the events happening in every corner of the universe. Cota remembers the child from before and he figures out that his father might be among those who are currently wasting money in the tavern. Suddenly, two dudes walk up to Cota and Grut, suggesting that they pay for their entertainment since it appears that they have money. Just as usual, Grut is quick to grab his weapon, ready to kill the dudes. But Cota stops him, telling him that it is not necessary. Cota lets Grut know that he can actually save everyone in the tavern. Cota then looks through the Black Mage's memories to try to get the antidote to the elixir. After some minutes of searching, Cota finds it, and using his magic power, he activates the antidote. This unleashes a wave of magical energy into everyone in the room. Surprisingly, everyone in the room comes to their senses, and they start demanding to know why they are at the tavern at such a crazy hour. Cota also makes sure to purify the entire village with the antidote, ultimately releasing them from Tyrion's bondage. Broken families started fixing up, since there is no crazy urge to use the multidimensional device again. Grut is shocked when he sees everyone in the tavern acting nice and apologizing to each other. It then dawns on him that Cota's magic stripped the crowd of all aggression, and just as usual, he creates a delusional reason as to why this happened. He believes that Cota did this to make the people docile so they will never think of taking up arms because they were once like lions, but have been downgraded to earthworms. Just then, the system tells Cota that he just carried out a good deed, and he has gained luck points. Cota is thankful for this because his purification spell helped him gather points. In the end, he is able to gather 238,000 luck points, and Cota believes that this will help him use multidimensional magic. Suddenly, a loud explosion rocks the building, and the explosion is accompanied by the mage, Tyrion. It turns out that Tyrion is a woman, and she is pissed that Cota is trying to ruin her lucrative business. Grut is shocked when he realizes that Tyrion is a woman, not the big bad dude he was already imagining in his head. Tyrion ignores him and investigates the beer just to confirm what she was already suspecting, in annoyance. She throws away the cup and starts asking the people who purified the drink. Scared that Tyrion might just wipe them out, they start stuttering, replying that they didn't do anything. Tyrion then looks around to properly assess the situation before pointing to Cota and Grut. She is still talking about how she hasn't seen the two around when she notices that they have destroyed the elixir bottles already. She casually walks up to Cota, asking him if he is a part of the Immaculate Order. In addition, she wants to know if exiling her was not enough for the Order, and they are now planning to throw her in a cell. Suddenly, Cota finds himself standing in the middle of a magic circle, and before he can react, Tyrion activates it, releasing a burst of fire. Instead of panicking, Cota remembers that he has seen something like this in the Black Mage's memories, and it is called the Flame Circle. With no time to waste, Cota goes with his gut and he throws a gold coin to his right. Cota is surprised that he did this, which basically meant he was acting based on his intuition. Just then, the ultimate karma comes on, and Cota is told that he has just 3 minutes. The gold coin ends up breaking a water tap, which spills water everywhere, ultimately quenching Tyrion's fire. Tyrion is shocked, but the same thing can be said for Cota too. Cota realizes that he subconsciously triggered magic just like when he saved Grut's life. Cota is still trying to understand the situation when Grut takes off his cloak because it is on fire. However, he totally forgets that he is in the midst of humans, and this basically exposes the fact that he is a goblin. The crowd goes nuts when they see Grut and they start screaming, while demanding that Grut be killed because he is there to steal their harvest. However, Cota steps up to protect his subordinate from the angry crowd. Cota takes off his cloak, and this is when it dawns on them that the person in front of them is the infamous Black Mage. Immediately, they discover this. They all make a run for it. Even Tyrion is shocked to see the Black Mage at such an awful place. However, Tyrion has no intentions of running away because the bounty on Cota's head is 100 billion gold coins. Tyrion believes that she can take on Cota because she heard that the Black Mage was weak when he was in the Order. To Tyrion, she sees herself as a filthy rich lady already, as long as she is able to take down Cota. At the same time, Cota knows he has no chance, since he hasn't mastered the black magic just yet. Since it has come to this, Cota figures out that he just has to bet everything on luck. Cota then acts tough, walking up to Tyrion and telling her that she is definitely a formidable opponent, but she lacks a little focus. This catches her attention, which causes her to be oblivious to what is happening around her. By the time she understands the situation, there is a fire brewing in the room already. Cota wastes no time grabbing Grut and moving with instinct. He jumps through a small window which leads directly into a tank. Just as they land in the tank, the room is engulfed in fire. When the flames calm down a bit, Cota slowly lifts up the tank lid to assess the situation. He plans to escape the area while the smoke is still active. After the two exit the tank, they try escaping, but it turns out that the fire didn't kill Tyrion. In fact, she is more pissed than she was some minutes ago. This time around, Cota realizes that he is in a big mess because his luck has just 1 minute to run down the clock. He figures out that he has to make a move in 60 seconds to take Tyrion down. Cota then employs his usual tactics, reminding Tyrion that he is so powerful that he didn't even need to use his powers against her. Cota then asks her if she thinks she has a chance against him. This ends up riling her up and unleashing her fury while telling Cota that she is going to make him see why she is not supposed to be underestimated. Just as the fireball is about to hit Cota in the face, he trips and falls, helping him escape being barbecued by Tyrion. However, Tyrion is not done with him yet because he has created a big magic circle with the sole aim of annihilating Cota. At this point, Cota has just 5 seconds left on the clock, and just as Tyrion's final spell hits, Cota escapes with 1 second left on the luck clock. Tyrion watches in horror and dismay that she wasn't able to get Cota, even with everything that she did. Tyrion ends up falling to her knees, since she has exhausted all of her strength. With no strength to move again, Tyrion believes that she has reached the end of the line and she is about to die. Suddenly, the flames die out, and when she looks around, she realizes that Cota just saved her life. However, Grut is not in agreement with this because he wants them to leave Tyrion to suffer a bit more inside the flames. He basically tells Cota that humans are more delicious when they are roasted to medium rare. Cota ignores Grut's complaints and walks up to Tyrion, telling her that he has no intention of leaving her behind. Suddenly, Cota finds himself staring into one of the Black Mage's most important memories. Cota sees the Black Mage amidst destruction, and he is holding someone dear to him. It turns out that the Black Mage was unable to save this person, and he screams out in agony as he hugs the lifeless body of his loved one. Cota is so engrossed in the Black Mage's memories that he forgot that he was holding Tyrion just the same way the Black Mage held his loved one. Suddenly, he feels a soft lip locking with his, and when he opens his eyes, he sees Tyrion kissing him. Cota is shocked, demanding to know what Tyrion is doing. Tyrion looks absolutely innocent as she replies that she thought this was what Cota wanted from her. Cota lets her know that she has everything wrong, and he was only motionless because he was lost in thought. Tyrion then tells Cota that she is ready to do whatever he wants because she is not ready to die yet. Cota understands where she is coming from, and he lets her know that he has no intention of killing her. Cota stretches his hand to Tyrion, asking her to follow him because, as things stand, he needs her power. Without hesitation, Tyrion holds Cota's hands, and Cota tells Grut that it is time that they leave. Not long after this, the system informs Cota that the ultimate karma has ended, and all luck bonuses have also been consumed. Cota is not surprised because he already knows that he is going to exhaust his power. In addition, his luck points have returned to 0. Cota then figures out that his luck powers are temporary because of the Cursed One status. However, he is convinced that there is a quest somewhere that can fix this. He checks out the Cursed One's info, and realizes that he is that way because he has committed too many atrocities. Not long after this, they arrive at Tyrion's home, which she told them is not something fantastic. However, Cota begs to differ because her house is a freaking mansion, standing alone in the middle of nowhere. Upon entering, Cota is almost blinded by all the jewelry in the house, and Cota demands to know if Tyrion has been funding her lifestyle with the villagers' money. Tyrion quickly clears the air, saying she did no such thing, while revealing that the house was passed down to her by her parents. However, Grut is not one to believe such blatant lies. Once they have settled down, Cota tells Tyrion that he needs her multidimensional magic because he has to go to another planet. Tyrion speaks out rashly, saying Cota must have gone mad, and Grut wastes no time holding a knife to her neck, urging her to watch her mouth. Tyrion then explains what she means. She reveals that she is just a weakling who doesn't have the power to send Cota between worlds. Tyrion mentions that sending someone to another planet requires a vast amount of multidimensional mana, and this is something that is only possible for the White Mage. Tyrion mentions that with her current powers, the best she can do is see the state of other worlds. When Cota hears this, he is not surprised because he wasn't expecting it to be easy after all. Nonetheless, he believes that he would be able to pull it off once he is taught the basics of multidimensional magic, since the Black Mage is an incredibly powerful being. Cota then tells Tyrion to teach him all the multidimensional magic that she knows, promising to handle the rest himself. Tyrion is surprised to hear this, and she genuinely asks Cota if he is an idiot. Just as usual, Grut is pissed off already, and all he needs is a direct order to poke Tyrion's neck with his short sword. Tyrion then tells Cota that his request is a bit odd. Surprisingly, Grut moves over to tell her that Cota is only trying to test her knowledge. Grut lets her know that she is dead if she gets it all wrong, crippled with the fear that she might die if she messes up. Tyrion lets Cota know that she can't teach him the multidimensional magic. In her defense, she tells Cota that he is the Black Mage. Cota appears confused by this, and Tyrion explains that there are 2 types of magic in this world. There is the white magic, and there is the black magic. Apparently, the more one learns one side of the magic, the more the other side becomes unusable. It then dawns on Cota that since he is a master of black magic, he has lost what it takes to practice white magic. Tyrion confirms this, and then adds that multi-dimensional magic is the strongest spell among all white magic spells. Tyrion lets Cota know that he has reached the pinnacle of black magic, which makes multi-dimensional magic totally impossible for him to wield.